Hello, and welcome to the College of Design IT. This is the IT primer for new students and returning students for your basic IT needs. So first, let's go over the campus Wi-Fi. If you need to connect to the campus Wi-Fi, you're going to find it in your network settings. It'll be listed as EduRoam. And EduRoam is an external service that is actually provided across numerous campuses and other educational institutions. So once you find EduRoam in your wireless network list, you'll go ahead and click connect. And after a moment or two, you'll be prompted to enter your credentials. So the credentials you want to enter is for your username. It's going to be the username that you were provisioned, and you'll want to add at gatech.edu. Proceed with your password, then click OK. If you receive this message, it's okay to go ahead and click connect. That's going to install the security certificate. And after a moment, you'll be connected to Georgia Tech's wireless. This actually covers the campus, so you will be able to move about the campus and still maintain connection to the wireless network. Now, if you actually need to connect to Georgia Tech's network while you're off campus, then you may find yourself needing to connect to the VPN. The VPN is a desktop client that can be installed on either Mac or PC platforms. And initially, you will need to install the desktop client by downloading it from the GT VPN website. So launch any browser that you feel comfortable with. It could be Firefox, Google, Chrome, or Edge. I'm currently using Edge. So you'll enter the following address, vpn.gatech.edu. This will redirect you to the VPN portal. And again, you'll enter your username. Here, you do not have to add the at gatech.edu. This is actually a Georgia Tech page, so the appendage is not necessary. Continue with your password. And after a moment, sometimes it can take a minute or two, but afterwards you'll be prompted to enter either push or phone. Now, this is important. So by now, you should have the Duo application installed on your phone. If not, you're welcome to come by room 310, which is on the third floor of Architecture East, and we can help facilitate the installation of the Duo app on your phone. But you will need the Duo application installed in order to authenticate to many of the Georgia Tech resources and sites. So I'm going to type push, and this is going to send a push notification to my phone. And once I've accepted that push notification, I'm redirected into the Georgia Tech's VPN web portal. From here, you'll see up at the top, there's the option to download the client. And there's both the Windows and the Mac platforms. I'm going to download the Windows 64 client. And you'll see that's being downloaded into my downloads folder. And from here, I'll go ahead and I will log myself out of the web portal. And from here, I'll go into my downloads folder. And there's the Global Protect 64-bit client. I'll just click through the prompts to start the installation. Usually only takes a minute or two to install. And then I'll close to finish out the installation process. The only other thing you need to check is down below in your taskbar, you'll see the Global Protect icon. Click that once and just go through and enter the portal address, which is again the vpn.gatech.edu. It's the same process. You just enter your username and your password. Click connect. And again, you'll be prompted with the verification code. I'm going to type in push. And from my mobile device, I'll approve that push. And after that, I'll be connected to the VPN. Now, this is really important. When you're working on VPN, once you're done with your session, don't forget to disconnect from the session. Sometimes what can happen is if a user forgets to disconnect his or her session, they may have difficulty reestablishing upon the next time because there's a previously session that has remained frozen. So next, sometimes you may want to check your email and not necessarily want to use Outlook. You also have the option of checking it via webmail. So I'm going to use Chrome this time. And from here in your browser address bar, type in mail.gatech.edu. This is going to redirect you to the Georgia Tech login page. From here, I'm going to enter my password, my username, pardon me, along with my password. I'm going to choose not to save the credentials. And again, I'm getting my Duo notification. So I'll enter that code on my phone, approve it. This will redirect me to my inbox. It's okay to actually continue with this message. It's just confirming that you do trust the site that you're logging into. And this will load an exact copy of your inbox. This is a direct connection to your webmail. So you can actually access your email as long as you have an internet connection and browser. You can access your email without the need for the actual Outlook client. And I'm going to go ahead and just log out. Another resource that you can access remotely if you're off campus or if you're unable to make it into the lab is we have VLab, which is a virtual version of the physical labs. All of the software that is found in the physical labs, which is 358 and 359, located in Architecture West, those applications and software packages are also available through the VLab. So one of the packages you may want to install and download is Citrix Workspace. So we're going to go to the Citrix site. And what you're looking for is Citrix Workspace, which can be found under Resources and Downloads. And from here, under the Citrix Downloads page, you'll see the Citrix Workspace app. I'm going to select the latest stable version for Windows. If you are on a Mac, you will also find it under Workspace app for Mac. So I'm just going to download this file. Go ahead and accept the end user license agreement. This might take a minute or two, depending upon your network internet connection. And I will now find it in my downloads folder. So we're going to go ahead and install this. Hey, that took a little longer than expected, but it looks like our Citrix Workspace app installation has completed. So now what you can do is, I'm going to go ahead and use Chrome for this example. You can use any browser that you feel comfortable with, though. So for VLab access, you're going to go to mycloud.gatech.edu. That's going to redirect you to the VLab login. Here, you only need your username. So I'm going to enter my username and my password. I'm not going to save my credentials, but it's entirely up to you if you wish to. And of course, my Duo two-factor. Now here, it should detect that I already have Workspace installed. So what you like to do is to save yourself this step in the future, go ahead and allow it to always use the Workspace launcher whenever you're using VLab Access. After a moment or two, you'll be redirected to the VLab dashboard. From here, you'll see that you have access to a number of remote virtual desktops that are available. Each desktop has a certain amount of resources that are already allocated to it. Typically, you will want to use any of the ones that are labeled CO design. Those will have most of the applications that you'll probably be needing access to: AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, Rhino, V-Ray. Those are going to be on any of these VLabs themselves. So as an example, if you wanted to use the A40, click on the down button, click open, and that'll start the process to begin loading a VLab session. You'll notice this window's opening here. If you, now, this is something you may want to take care of ahead of time, but if you'll notice if you click Preferences, you'll see this option under File Access. By default, it's set to ask me each time, but if you'd like to, you can go ahead and set that to read and write. What this will allow is this allows your local devices to be accessible through the VLab access. So if you're in a VLab session and you need to save a document or a file or project onto a thumb drive, you want to be able to have the read and write file access settings selected. If you don't, what will happen is you may be in the middle of a session and find that you need to move a file off to a thumb drive or to an external drive, and your VLab session won't be able to see that drive if it hasn't been granted access to it. So this is a setting that you may want to check when you're starting a VLab session if you intend to use any kind of external devices. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and I'll proceed with logging into this session. So when you're logging into VLab, it passes your credentials to that VLab machine that you're logging into. So you'll see it begin setting up your desktop, any type of files, network drives, network locations, those will be loaded as well. So depending upon what's being loaded, it might take a moment or two for that session to fully load before the desktop is accessible. Okay, so now we see that we have a desktop session loaded. I'm going to just move this to full screen. Takes a minute to refresh, but now you can see this is what a VLab session would look like. So this is what you can expect to see when you're logging into a MyCloud session to use VLab. You'll notice there's a number of Autodesk products, 3D Studio Max, there's SolidWorks, AutoCAD, Recap, Rhino, see SketchUp, Keyshot. So any of the packages that you would see loaded in the physical lab, those will also be accessible in VLab. And what you want to make sure you do is, when you're done, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this window. Make sure to log out of the session. Once you've signed out, just going to sign myself out of MyCloud as well. And that is how you're able to access VLab if you are off campus and need remote access to the physical labs. Now, all enrolled students are provisioned with an Office 365 license. That means that you will have access to the full Office 365 suite that's used here on campus. That includes PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Outlook, and many of the other apps that fall under the Georgia Tech licensing for 365. If you'd like to install it on your personal machine, you do have that option by going to portal.office.com. That's going to redirect you. You'll want to sign in with your username at gatech.edu, and you'll proceed. This is going to redirect you again to the Georgia Tech sign-on page. Of course, going to receive my Duo notification. Going to enter those numbers. And once I've approved it, I'll be redirected to my Microsoft dashboard. So from here, this is my Office 365 dashboard. This is through the web portal. So I haven't installed the Office suite onto my machine yet, but I'm still able to access any of the applications that I might need. And you can actually see some of them listed here. You can see Outlook, Teams, Word, and I can see more of the apps that I also have access to. So if I needed to, I can actually run these from the web portal and I don't necessarily have to install them onto my laptop. But the downside with that is if I'm using them through the web portal, if I'm somewhere where I don't have a good internet connection, or if my internet connection goes out, I'll lose access to these applications through the web portal. So installing them locally is not a bad idea either. If you'd like to install the apps locally, right here, you'll see this option to install. So if I click on this caret, there's the option to install the 365 apps. This will download a small package to start the installation. And then from there, Microsoft pushes the remaining installation over the internet to your machine and performs the installation in the background. After that, you'll actually see all of the apps, of course, listed, either pinned or you'll find the remaining of them under all apps. So you can see I have Excel, I have Teams, OneNote, Outlook, and of course, PowerPoint and Word. So we're going to log out of the Office portal. So let's take a look at OneDrive. OneDrive is going to be your cloud storage for any of your files, documents, projects that you'll be working on throughout your enrollment at Georgia Tech. Each student is provisioned with 5 TB of OneDrive storage. Your other option is also Dropbox if you choose to use that as your storage option. With OneDrive, your sign-in is the same. You have two options. You can actually go to the site itself, but a lot of times what you'll notice is if you click your File Explorer, you'll see OneDrive is actually already loaded. And this is one way you can get to it as well. So from here, I can enter my email address. And I'm going to click Sign In. And this is going to redirect me again to the Georgia Tech sign-in page, where I'll continue with my username and password. Click Login. I'm going to enter my Duo code. And what this does is this creates a copy of my OneDrive folder onto my local machine. And it's actually showing you the path for that folder. Just click Next. And this gives you the opportunity to decide which folders on your PC that you like backed up. So any one of these folders that you want backed up, select that folder and OneDrive will begin the backup process of each of these folders. If you don't want a folder backed up, then make sure to turn that option off. And this is already telling me how much of data is going to be used out of my 5 TB of provision space. But I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. I actually don't need this on this particular laptop. There's also a software site. If you find yourself needing additional software, there are some free packages that are available at gatech.onthehub.com. And you will be prompted for your username and password. So you may find yourself having to enter those credentials. But from here, you can see that there are some packages that are available to students. So some of these are available that you can download and install on your machine to use while you're enrolled. So the thing with Creative Cloud, so in the past, during the pandemic, Creative Cloud was being offered for free during the pandemic for remote use. Since that is no longer an option, you would have to pay for your own subscription if you wanted to put Creative Cloud onto your personal machine. During your enrollment here at Georgia Tech, you are able to use your credentials for Creative Cloud in the lab or through VLab. You would sign in the same way you would with your Office 365. So to wrap up this brief session, if you need additional help, you are more than welcome to stop by our office. We're located in Architecture East, again in Office 310. We're typically in Monday through Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can also reach out to us via email at helpdesk@design.gatech.edu. And also, you can find us on the web at central.design.gatech.edu. And you can find a number of forms, a College of Design handbook, and also you can file and submit a service desk ticket. That's it for this tutorial session. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, and thank you for your time.